Hey guys, this is Eve with Scrapbooking with Me, and this is what we're going to make today. Now this is not finished. I haven't got it finished, so I'm going to show you what's going to be in part one. This is going to be part one. Tomorrow will be the finish. But we've got the basics done. All we need is to do a little decorating on the front, and then we need to put our notepad right here, and then our closure. We need to put our closure on. What this is a gift box little folio album, I guess you could call it, for Dad. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it yet, but it's made out of chipboard. These boxes are reinforced with chipboard. Each box is tied with some of this little metallic thread. You don't have to tie it with that. That's just what I had on hand, so that's what I tied it with. But these two boxes are 2 by 2 by 2, and of course they close up, and then you just tie your thread back. And then there's 2 of those, and then there's one pen box, and this will hold any size pen, fountain pen that you want. This will hold K-cups, and this one's going to hold some candy. And then we're going to put a notepad. We're going to make a notepad. I'm going to show you how to make one that'll, it'll just tear off like sticky notes. I'm going to show you how to make a notepad. We're going to put the notepad right here. Then it will close up, and it'll have a closure. It'll have a little stud right there with a little closure on there to clip it. And then on the front, I haven't decided. I want to put a photo frame here in a place where you can slide a photo in of maybe you and the kids, whatever. But I haven't decided if that's exactly what I'm going to do yet. So I'll decide on that between now and tomorrow when we finish this up. But we're going to do some decorating on the front. But so far, this is what we're going to make. Stay tuned tomorrow for part 2. We're going to finish it all up. I will have all the dimensions, photos, everything over on my blog. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start out with our chipboard. Now, this is our chipboard covers and the spine. So we have 2 pieces that are cut at 9 by 7, and then 1 piece that is cut at 2 by 7. And we're going to join these together, and I'm going to use my construction strips. Now, if you don't know how to use construction strips, I'll link a video right up here in the cards that you can go to, and I'll also link it below. And I show you how to use construction strips, how to make them, that kind of thing. This is just a thick craft cardstock cut at 1 inch, and then I leave it at 12. Then I go ahead and score it in the center, and then I put score tape on each side of that fold. And that's how I join things together. This makes everything, all your 3D projects that you're making, this makes them very, very strong. I like doing this other than just putting paper down, because if you put paper down, a lot of times if the paper cracks a little bit, then you're going to lose a lot of your strength in your albums or whatever. So this is what I like to do. But of course, you can certainly do it the way that you're used to. Now, all I do is with the fold out to the edge, I put this on here right at the edge, as close as you can get it. And then, of course, I've cut it off a little bit on either end. You don't have to run it all the way to the very end. Now, this is something that you can also use. I think I've used it before. That tie-back, you can also use tie-back here if you want to. And again, I'll put a link below to a video where I use tie-back, and it is just envelopes that I have cut up, and I use those for extra strength as well. Now, it's really important that you press down really, really hard to make sure that your tape has caulked. All right, what we're going to do is pull the backing off of this other side here. You need to leave just a little bit of room between the two. That gives it that little bit of bend that you need. So just leave a little bit of room in there, and then press that down really, really well. And then there you've got your bend. You're going to do the same thing on this side. So now you've got the makings of our album. Now you can go ahead and put your pieces on the inside if you want to. Now I had just a little bit left off of each one of those 12-inch pieces that I cut, so I'm just going to lay these on the inside. There again, it's just going to give it extra strength, because there's going to be lots of bending going on there, on that album, that part of the album. So all I'm going to do is just center that score line up in the middle there, and then just press that down. Doesn't have to go all the way, that's just going to give it some extra strength. Just go down the center and give that a crease again. And there we've got a nice strong top and inside to the album. Now I've got a little piece right here that's trying to come up. Not sure why, I may have not got that score tape down there well, so I'm just going to put some art glitter glue under there and press that down, and that'll give it a lot of extra strength in there. Now I'm going to lay that aside and let that dry for a minute, and I have got some paper. I think this looks kind of manly. This is some paper from Kaiser Craft. It's called Authenticity, I do believe. So we have got two pieces of paper here that are cut at, what is this cut at? This is cut at 12 by 9, and then this one's cut at 10.5 by 9. Because we're going to glue these together like we do to make a long piece of paper. So I'm going to use this side for my front. Yes. So I'm going to run some score tape right at the edge of this. So make sure that I press it down well. And then we'll take that backing off and we'll glue that other piece of paper to that one. And all you're going to do here is you're going to start at the end and just kind of follow that score tape, and that should ensure that you get it pretty straight. Okay, so there is our long piece of paper for the cover. So we're going to flip that over, and then we're going to bring this cover back in. I'm going to check and see if it's kind of dry. Yep. We're going to lay this down just like this, and that's how we're going to cover it. But you know how I do. I like to mark a space in the corner so I know where to start and so that I can kind of get my album as straight as I can. Album cover, that is. So I just kind of mark it like that, and I know that I'm leaving an inch all the way around. If you are not leaving an inch all the way around, then you can just mark you a corner in there. Just as long as you have something to kind of go by to lay your corner in like this, then you know that you've got it straight, and then you can just follow that line all the way down, and you know that this whole album is straight. So therefore your cover should be straight. Like mine's got stripes on it with that wood, so I don't want my stripes to be going like this, you know. All right, so we are going to run some score tape around the edges, and then I'll probably put some art glitter glue in the middle. There we go. Now we can pull the backing off of this and lay this down. Isn't that neat? I like it when it hooks on there and pulls all the way across. I like my little tools. We do have these as well. This is not an advertisement. I'm not trying to get you to buy. But everything that I use will be linked below if I can find it. If we don't have it in our store, I try to find it in some other store and link it for you. So a lot of times I can find it in our Amazon store. So just follow the links below and you should find what you need. And we're going to flip it over. And I'm going to lay one edge down, trying to get it as straight as I can. And then I'll slowly lay the other part down. There we go, just like that. Just just run your bone folder all over that to make sure everything catches really well. You can flip it over and do the same thing. These Teflon bone folders do not make marks on your paper, so you can rub those straight across. There we go. All right, now we are going to go around the edge, just like we do on a mini album, any mini album. And we're just going to break down those fibers, making sure that we can fold this up without the paper cracking. Hopefully. I've not used this paper, so no guarantees. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim my corners. And I am just going to leave about 1/8 of an inch. And I trim mine at a little bit of an oval. I don't go straight across. I like to have, I'd rather have more paper than less. And we're going to take it and roll it just a little bit to make sure that our top is going to roll over there. Then we're going to just fold it this way, rock it on the end. And then again, we're going to run some score tape along this edge. Okay, let's take the backing off of our score tape, and then we're ready to press those sides down. Now let's go ahead and go over where we put this together, just to make sure that we've got that little bit of bend in there. There we go. I think that looks pretty manly so far. Now I'm going to use this blue paper for the inside. This is from that same paper collection. And I am going to put this together too, and I'll tell you what size I cut this. I cut 19.5 by 6, but now this is, of course, 6 by 12 on this piece, and then this piece is 6 by, looks like 7 3/4. So that makes my length that I need. I'm going to go ahead and put these together. You can make this a little bit wider if you wanted to. I didn't, because I wanted to use one sheet of paper to get the inside. And it still covers everything, but if you want yours to go a little bit wider, then make it at 6.5. But this is fine with me right there, because a lot of this is going to be covered. So we're going to put that down just like that, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue to do this. So right in this center here, I'm going to put some extra art glitter glue. It's going to make that hold a lot better. And then I'm just going to take my ATG gun and run some of this down through there. And that should hold very well. I'm going to run my score tool right down the edges of that. I'm using the large end. This is just where that crease is going to be. Just going to run it down lightly, and then I'm going to lay this aside and let everything dry well. Don't try to bend this while it is wet, because if you do, it's going to be a mess. So just lay it aside and let it dry. Now you're ready to make your boxes for the inside, your little gift boxes. So you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. This is cut at 12 by 9. On the 9-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2. and at 2.5, at 4.5, at 6.5, and then at 8.5. So that is 1/2, 2.5, 4.5, 6.5, and 8.5. And all of these measurements will be over on my blog, so don't worry about writing anything down right now. Then you're going to turn it, and you're going to score again at 1/2. Let's see, at 2.5, at 9.5, and at 11.5. There we go. So that's 1/2, 2.5, 9.5, and 11.5. And you're going to do that on both pieces. So we have 2 pieces. We're going to do it on both of them. Okay, we're going to make a small pin box to go in this as well. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 10 by 5. And on the 5-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2, at 1.5, 2.5, at 3.5, and at 4.5. Then you're going to turn it, and you're going to score at 1/2, at 1.5. Let's see, let me do that again. 1/2, and at 1.5, at 8.5, and then at 9.5. And I'm going to flip it over because I made a little boo-boo right there on the score line, so I'm just going to press it out. If you make a score line wrong, just flip your paper over and then just rub your tool back over that score line that you made wrong, and most of it will go away. All right, we're going to go ahead and fold on all of our score lines. Fold and burnish. All right, once you have your score lines folded and burnished, we're going to do a little bit of cutting. So you are going to cut away down here at the bottom. You're going to cut away these 2 little squares, this one and that one. And I will put a photo of this after I get everything cut. I'll put a photo on the blog so that you can see just exactly what we've cut away. So you're going to cut that away. You're going to go over to the other side and you're going to cut that same one away. I'm going to trim that a little bit more because I didn't trim my score line out. Okay, then you are going to turn it around, and we're going to cut these 4 boxes right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So those 4 boxes are going to be cut away. Just cut down on that score line, and then cut over, just like that. And you're going to do the same thing on this side. Like that. So that's what you're going to have so far. Now go ahead and on this top little 1/2-inch tab here, you're going to just wedge a little bit of that out. Okay, I forgot to cut this away. You're going to cut this little piece away too. This is our top that we just finished with. And you're going to cut this little piece right here away too. I forgot about that little piece. I added that piece on after I started the video. See, and then I just wedged a little bit right there. So just wedge a little bit and then cut that little piece away. All right, and now you're going to cut up on these score lines, these 2 and these 2. You're just going to cut in on those. Cut straight in. Flip it around, do the same thing on this side. Just like that. Now the only little 1/2" tab that you're going to need to leave is this one on the one in the center. This one we can cut off. So we're going to go ahead and trim that one off. And then on these little ones that we left, we're just going to wedge just a little bit in on each side of those. So that is what you have right there, and we are going to take a photo of that and then put that on our blog so that you can see what was cut away. Now for this other piece, we are going to do the same thing, same identical thing as we did here. So go ahead and do your folding, your cutting, and you're going to have two pieces, two boxes that are the same size. Okay, we have both of ours cut, and now we're going to do the small one. So you're just going to fold and burnish your score lines, just like we did on the large one, and then I'll show you the cutaways that we do. Now for the small one, you are going to start right here at the bottom, and it doesn't matter which one is the top or the bottom because they're both designed the same. You're going to just kind of cut in just a little bit on that, and then you're going to cut this part right here off. So that needs to come out. And then do the same thing on this side. Like that. So those two come out. Again, I will take a photo of this and put it on my blog so that you can see. Up here at the top, we're going to cut away these 4 boxes on both sides. Go ahead right here and just wedge a little bit. Now you're going to turn it around and you're going to cut in on these side tabs. And then these two on the ends, you do not need that little tab. So just cut that away on both of those, leaving that one in the center right there. Okay? Do that on this side. Now we're going to go ahead and wedge just a tiny bit on these tabs right here. So let's wedge a little bit on that edge. Wedge a little bit, and I'm going to cut out that score line. Looks like I didn't get it cut exactly straight, so I'm just cutting out that score line. And that's what you have right there. And I'll take a photo of this so that it can go on my blog and you can see. Now you're ready to start putting these boxes together. Now I'm going to put chipboard in mine because I want them to hold up when that cover is closed, just like we did that little one that we put on the end of that other little album that we made. But you don't have to. You can make it just out of some good thick cardstock and just leave it as it is if you're not afraid they're going to collapse. But I want to put some chipboard in mine because I don't want them to collapse when the person is using them. And I'm just going to use the scrap paper that I had left over to cover all of my chipboard. So I'm just going to lay it on there, cover it, and then put the chipboard down. And I will tell you the size of all of them as I start cutting them out. So these are cut at 1 7/8 by 6 7/8, and you're going to need 6 of them if you're going to cover the inside, if you're going to put chipboard on the inside. Now, you don't have to put chipboard on the inside. You can use heavy cardstock, you can use cereal boxes, whatever. I'm just giving you the sizes in case you want to do what I'm doing. Now, for the end pieces on that, you're going to need 4 pieces that are cut at 1 7/8 by 1 7/8, and that's going to go on the end. And then for the little box, you're going to need 3 pieces that are cut at 7/8 by 6 7/8, and then 2 pieces that are cut at 7/8 by 7/8. That's going to be the end. Again, remember, all of these measurements, everything will be over on my blog. You don't have to try to remember things or write it down, that kind of thing. Just watch the video and then you can go over there and copy everything down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some of my chipboard in. I may put all of it in before I put it together. I may wait and put the sides in there, but I'm going to put as much as I can in here before I put it together, put my box together. So we're definitely going to go ahead and put our bottom piece in there. Now when you're putting your chipboard in, just kind of keep it away from your score lines. Put it in between all of those score lines. Just like that. So see, then my score lines still fold, everything still folds up. Now for this one right here, which is going to go up here next to the flap, I'm going to take a brown marker, and on this top edge, I'm just going to color that. That's just going to keep that chipboard at the top from showing. Just going to cover that over like that. And see, then when we put that down, when the cover is opened, you won't be able to see that raw edge on the chipboard. And you can use that with any marker. That just happened to be a Copic, but you can do it with any marker, even a magic marker, whatever. You can also use paint to put that on there. And I know chipboard in some areas is hard for people to get. We sell it, but of course I know overseas it's hard to get a hold of, and it would cost an arm and a leg for us to ship it over there. So I don't want you to have to pay that. So just use 2 or 3 layers of paper if you want to make yours stronger. Now I put this down and I just made sure that I kept it away from that score line because I want that to still be able to fold up. Then we're going to go ahead and put our other one right here. And on this one, I left enough of a flap that I can fold over so I won't have to color that part of the chipboard on the edge. So I'm going to keep it away from that score line right there as much as possible so that it will still bend up like that, and it does. And then this piece is going to fold over the end of that chipboard, and that's going to cover that up, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run my score tape down through here. Do that like that, and then just take your bone folder and run across the edge to just kind of flatten the edge out. And there you have that part. Now before I put the side pieces in, I am going to go ahead and put my box ends together. Reason being is I may have to trim them off a little bit, just depending on how these end pieces go together. It would probably be best to go ahead and put your box together first on the end, and then slide your end pieces of chipboard down in there. Now you've got 3 flaps on here, and I left 3 flaps intentionally because I want this to be nice and strong. So you're going to bring your 2 flaps in. This is going to be your middle flap. Bring the 2 flaps in, glue those together, and then this one is going to go up over that to make that close, just like that. The one that has the little tab on it goes on last. So go ahead and put your glue on these. Let's see, that one's going to go inside. Let's put our glue on this one. You could use score tape here if you want to. Just use a strong glue. You don't want to use ATG tape, that kind of thing. Now you want to pull these together as far as they will go, making sure that your corners meet up. And then press that down. Then you're going to put your glue right here. Don't put it on the flap, just put it up to that score line. And then you're going to bring that up, pressing that down right there. And I'm just going to lay it over this way and go in there with my bone folder. Okay, so you've got those end pieces nice. This keeps the flap from falling down in there. So don't glue that down or anything, just leave it up just like that. Now we're going to do the other end the same way as we did that one. Okay, so there is the first of our boxes. Let's see if it closes good. It does. Closes very well. So there's the first of our boxes. Let's go ahead and put those pieces in the end. So I'm going to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to trim a little bit of that off. That's why I didn't want to go ahead and put these in there before I close my box. So I'm just going to take just a tiny bit off the end. And it doesn't matter which ends, since these are the same size. Just enough that it'll slide down in there. And that looks good. And then we're going to take that same brown marker and I'm going to color the top of that, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one. Now see, when you slide that down in there, you've got just a little bit of glue here on the top, and you can just press that over and press that down like that. And then your little tab is going to stay where you put it. So let's check this one and see if we need to trim this one a little bit. And we do. So there's the first box, and you can close it up. Okay, so this one is ready to go in the mini album. Now we're going to go ahead and put the other one together. So we have both of our large boxes made. Now it's time to put our little one together. And we're going to do the same identical thing. We're going to put these chipboard pieces in. Okay, we have that, the chipboard put inside. Now we're going to put it together. And again, we're going to put it together the same way as we did the large one. Putting these two little flaps up and then bringing that one up. Your small box made, and this will hold a nice pen. Let me see, I'm not sure if this one, yep, it'll hold that one too. It'll hold a good size pen, so you can put him a nice pen down in there, because we're also going to put that notepad on the bottom. So let's go ahead and close this one up. I may have to trim these tabs off. I'm going to trim these tabs off just a tiny bit on the edge. I wait to do that too, because you never know if you're going to need them trimmed off or not. It just depends on how your box goes together. But I am going to trim them just a tiny bit. A little bit more of an angle. Yep, looks like that went in there just fine. So that is ready to go too.